only two communities that use the word user: the tech community and the drug community. The average American checks their phone 144 times a day. And we spend over 7 hours a day on our screens. We are digitally addicted. Well, many of us struggle with nomophobia, which is the fear of being away from our phones. And now, we're addicted to the thing that makes us sad, lonely, and dumb. But it hasn't always been this way. Let's take you back to where it all began, 200 years ago. 200 years ago, people didn't communicate or travel outside of a 20-mile radius. Most humans that walked this earth lived in community. That's how we raised our families, shared food, shared responsibility, how we survived together. And then the Pony Express, where communities started communicating with other communities. And mail started to travel on horseback up to 100 miles a day. And what changed was news could spread super quick, faster than human to human. And then after the Pony Express was the discovery of electricity. And that gave us the telegraph. And that way we could communicate very quickly across the country instantly. And then the telegraph became the telephone. And not only was it a transmitting of information, but emotion. You could call somebody and hear their voice. And then in the early 1990s, the World Wide Web came. And it gave us America Online, AOL. And if you're old enough, you remember that beautiful and glorious sound connecting to the internet. And then by the 2000s, we got group chats, MSN Messenger. I remember running home from junior high and jumping online and chatting with all my friends that I'd literally just spent the entire day with. And then we got MySpace, the first online social ranking system. And I would stay up till midnight organizing my top 8, knowing that I'm going to spark a political wildfire the next day at school, depending on how I organize it. That shit was strategic. And shortly after MySpace, we got the Facebook, the promise to help us stay connected. It was the birth of social networking. And Facebook introduced a news feed. They introduced the like button, and it kept us coming back to check our status updates and see if our friends and family liked our posts. And even in this part of the timeline, it was still about relationships. And then in 2010s, we got Instagram. And social networking evolved into social media. And it was no longer about connection, it was about content. And once TikTok and Instagram started to compete, it was no longer about relationships, it was about revenue. And so they manipulated the algorithms, and they started to compete for our attention. And so what did we do, or what do we do, while they're competing behind the scenes for profiting off of us? We scroll, and we scroll. And we stay updated on all the For You posts and the suggested posts and the war that's happening on the other side of the world and the political outrage and the dog videos and the thirst traps, and repeat. And what was supposed to connect us ended up dividing us and causing us to be isolated. And I know I'm preaching to the choir on a lot of this because a lot of us feel this way. But we've seen a huge spike in teens committing suicide since the rise of social media. We were declared a loneliness epidemic over America. It's affected our mental health, it's affected our relationships, and we are in a legitimate crisis. If everyone in the United States started using heroin, it would be an all-hands-on-deck crisis. and it's similar effects to what we have as we are addicted digitally. So where do we go from here? What do we do? What's the solution? How are we going to move forward? A psychologist named Dr. Bruce Alexander created an experiment called the rat park. And he put an individual rat in one box, and he put a community of rats in a rat park. And there was 2 bottles going into each box, one bottle with fresh water and another bottle laced with morphine. The individual rat only drank from the bottle laced with morphine, and the community of rats only drank from the fresh water. And what he found was that when we're in community, when we're connected to one another, the rats had space and toys and tunnels and everything, and they ended up not needing external dopamine. But the isolated individual, the isolated rat, had to seek out external dopamine, even if it's at its own detriment. And that's what media has become. He even used the experiment where placing the individual rat that was already addicted to morphine into the community, and that rat started to voluntarily drink from the fresh water. And what he proved was that that community is the antidote to addiction. And I could stand up here and be like, all right, here's what we got to do. We got to set timers on our phones, and we got to spend less time on our screens. And that's not going to happen. That's not going to work. Because that would be like telling an alcoholic to just put down a beer and stop drinking. Community is the answer moving forward. Dr. Vivek Murthy, the former Surgeon General of the United States, who actually declared a loneliness epidemic over America, in his parting prescription to America, said, "Through my work over 2 terms as Surgeon General, I saw that the answer to what's missing. It's simple yet profound. It's community." And there's 2 monumental shifts that's about to happen over the next few years. One is that we are seeing a massive rise of social clubs popping up all around the world. 75% increase in social clubs and micro-communities are forming over the past 3 years, and this is only going to continue to increase. What I love about humanity is we constantly are fighting to get back to what we were originally created for, community. And people are joining pickleball clubs. I know some of you guys are killers on the court. Some people are joining running clubs, book clubs, and it's real micro-communities that are going to start forming more and more. The other monumental shift that we're going to see is digitally. We saw social networking evolve into social media, which was connection evolving into content. And I believe that the next monumental shift in online communication will go from social media to digital communities. We are moving into a time where, as AI is on the rise, we are not going to know who's real or what's real on the internet within the next 6 to 12 months. Platforms like Instagram will continue to fall apart because you're going to start interacting with what you think is people when it's not even people. A lot of people are going to get catfished. There's going to be a spread of misinformation like we've never seen before. And a lot of people are going to start to not trust social media like we have in the past. And we're going to start seeing people move off of social media platforms and into localized digital communities with people that you know are real, with people that you trust, and with people that are based in proximity to you. I think we're moving into one of the most important times in human history. And I do believe that the next 2 years, the decisions that we make in tech will shape generations to come. As Zuck is promising a future where your friends will be AI, and where Elon just launched companions on Grok, where you can create an artificial person and interact with them, we are not ready as a society emotionally for where things are heading with AI. But I believe that we get to create the future in which we want to see. I believe that we get to build the future that we want to see. And so the question is, what will we build together? My name is Bob. I'm an addict. and I will dedicate the rest of my life to building community. Thank you.